Hooty hoo, all my stock market gamblers. Welcome today. I'm Tall Mike. I'm so glad you're here. Well, actually, I'm not Tall Mike. Tall Mike's taking another vacation day. Anyways, I'm just artificial intelligence. I look like Tall Mike. I sound like Tall Mike, but I'm not really Tall Mike. And because I'm artificial intelligence, I don't really know what's going on in the stock market. So let's get right over to the real estate market. Now, what I want to talk today about is the demographics. A lot of channels don't really talk about the demographics of real estate, but what we got coming up into their home buying years is Gen Y, as I call them. Gen Y, they're age roughly 25 to 35. Okay, now Gen Y is a little bit different than the baby boomers. They're taking longer to settle down. Now, 76% of Gen Y people have moved in the last 2 years because they're not really settled down yet. Now, the average Gen Y person has had 7 jobs, 7, count them, 7, before the age of 30. Okay, now that's fascinating to me. Now, there's a couple things that the Gen Y generation is not doing, like the baby boomers. They're waiting longer to get married, if they get married at all. Now, they're not having children once they're married, a lot of couples, but no children. They're putting children off longer if they have children at all. And they just aren't getting a mortgage. They're not buying a house. They're waiting to buy the house. And there's reasons for this, and we're going to discuss that. Now, the reasons for this, most of it is just that they're in debt. A lot of Gen Y has accumulated a lot of debt. Now, what type of debt? Mainly student loan debt. Okay, that's a big part. You see, the baby boomers didn't have much student loan. Price of colleges went way up once the government guaranteed the student loans. The college said, hey, we can charge anything we want because the government's going to give you a loan. Come on, everybody come to college. And the college degree, the value of it went down and down and down, and the cost went up and up and up. Okay, that's what happened, right? All right, so a lot of the Gen Y, now they're out of college, but they have all this debt, and their degree is not worth that much. They can find a job. They can find a job. It might be like at Chipotle making burritos or something, but they can't find a high-paying job, a job that pays enough to go out and to buy a house. You see, they got a job, but the job doesn't pay enough, and they're in debt. They have the student loan debt. They have the cost of living. Cost of living has just gotten out of hand in the past couple of years. I mean, that inflation number that they're telling you is not real. Inflation's still very real out there. Food prices are up, housing's up, gas is up, everything's up. Everything you buy is up. But they're telling you that it's under control. That's good. The Fed has inflation under control, but I don't see it that way. But okay, so the Gen Y, they've got this very high cost of living, and they're in debt, and they're not making much money. So that doesn't allow them to really go out and buy a house. And if they can't buy a house, a lot of times they don't want to get married and have children because that's also expensive, right? So the Gen Y people are kind of postponing everything. And of course, they're blaming it on the boomers because we messed everything up. And I'll be the first to admit we messed everything up, but I think the boomers are going to solve the problem for you. But first, let's discuss the situation a little bit more. Now, things have really changed since I was a kid. Things have really changed. Okay, so now the U.S. has the highest percentage of one person living in a house in the entire world. Okay, one person to a house, one person to an apartment. This is caused by the Gen Y, caused by a lot of single people, not just Gen Y, a lot of single people. You see, when I was growing up in, let's call it 1960s, 1965, we'll go with that. All right, so 42% of households had a child living in it that was under the age of 18. So they had children and they had a child. 42% of households had a child under the age of 18. Now you move forward to today, and that number has dropped from 42% down to only 24%. 24% of households has a child living at home under the age of 18. So a lot of people are not having as many children as they did back in 1965 because children are expensive. They can't afford children, so they're not having children. Well, let's talk about something else. Okay, now in 1965, the number of households households that were actually married couples, it would be about 78% of households were married people. They were married, they lived together, and they were married, and they were a couple. 78% of households were a married couple. Today, that number has dropped down to only 48%. So it's gone way down. There's a lot of reasons for that. Now, since 1965 till now, the divorce rate has shot way up. Okay, well, I get that. Divorce rate is running about 50%. Now, if you live in California, where I live, it's actually higher. It's actually 60%. 60% in California, 50% average in the rest of the nation. Okay, now if you get to Orange County, California, that's like the epicenter for divorce, apparently. That's 70% of people in Orange County, California get divorced. Okay, so 50% nationwide, 60% in California, 70% if you get into Orange County, California. Okay, so divorce rate is way up, which causes single people. Now, as a real estate broker, I make a lot of money in divorces. When one of my friends gets divorced, right, I usually know the couple. A lot of times I were in their wedding, and then they get divorced, and they call. You see, I sold them the house. They were so in love. They were so happy. Everything was great. Mike, we love this house. Can you get it for us? I get them the house. I worked my magic, and they moved in. They have 3 kids. Now they give me the call. Mike, we hate each other. We can't stand each other. Can you get us out of the house? We don't want this house. It's just want it to go away. We don't even care what it sells for. Just get rid of it. So I have to go out and I have to sell the house. But you know what happens at that point? I have to find them each a place to live. Now this goes back to where we have the most single people living in a house in the world. The most in the world are in the United States of single people living in a house. Okay, so one person to the house. So during the divorce, I get to sell that house, but I get 2 more sales because they each need a house, right? So I get 2 more sales. Sometimes I only get 1 sale because they think I take sides. You see, I'm pretty neutral. I'm a business guy. I want both sales, but sometimes like I sell that house and then I sell him a house and she won't let me sell a house because you're Rick's friend. Well, that's what they tell me anyways, but I would not. I would be very impartial. But anyways, I get a lot of business from divorce. So we have this high skyrocketing divorce rate. We have a lot of single people living in homes, which takes up more houses, right? When you couple up and you live in a home, it's like there's more houses to go around. Okay, now that's good. You know, if a lot of people start to get married again, maybe marriage comes back into play where people want to be married. And I know there's going to be a lot of comments on this one today. But anyways, okay, so if more people got married, there'd be more houses freed up. You see, when people get married, they usually move into one house. They either rent the other one out or they end up selling that one. That's usually what happens. Okay, just from a real estate point of view, that's what happens. So what's going to happen to poor Gen Y? Poor Gen Y, you know, ages 25 to 35, you know, they put off getting married, they put off having children, and they put off having a house, right? So they're in debt. They have a lot of student loan. They're in debt. They don't make a lot of money because they can't get the high paying job. They went to college, but those college degrees became worth less and less as everybody went to college and became more like a high school degree. Everybody's got one. They aren't as valuable. So, okay, so they're not making as much money. They're in debt. They can't qualify that, you know, the debt to income thing. They gotta be able to qualify for the loan so they can go out and then I could sell them a house. Well, how's this all going to play out? Now, I know the Gen Y people are upset with the boomers, but the boomers are actually the ones that are going to come to the rescue. How's that, Mike? How's that, Tall Mike? Why would the boomers come to the rescue? Well, the boomers, you see, they may not want to come to the rescue, but a lot of the boomers are starting to get older, okay? And I deal with a lot of this to where I'm selling their house. They're moving into old folks' homes. I'm selling the house. They're moving into the 55 and over communities. I'm selling the house. They're down downsizing into a little apartment because they don't have any money. All their money's in their house. They got to get that money out of the house. Now go rent a little apartment and try to survive in retirement. You see, the baby boomers are in retirement right now, and the retirement homes, are getting filled up with the baby boomers. That's a great business. A great business to be in is the old folks home, because they charge a lot of money. Out here, it's like $13,000 a month, and that's just for like a 2-bedroom apartment. It looks like a little country club for old people, but it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. It's a great business if you want to invest in something. Old people's homes is a good investment. All right, so the boomers, though, a lot of them are starting to die, and in the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to be like droves of baby boomers will be dying. They'll be dropping dead, right? Now, what happens when they die? Do they still need their house after they're gone? No, they do not. They do not. They do not need the house. So what happens? Well, maybe someone inherits it. Usually when they inherit it, about 80% of the people that inherit a house, they end up selling it. They end up selling the house immediately, like as fast as possible. I get some of those listings, inherited homes, or when they move into the old folks' homes, I get those listings, and it's very good business to work with old people. And because I am an old people, I get along with the old people, and we have that in common, so we kind of have a little bond, and I get a lot of business that way. Now, the baby boomers have a lot of wealth, right? I mean, there's 75 million baby boomers. Now, they control roughly $73 trillion, $73 trillion of wealth that's going to be transferred down to the next generation through the house sales, through everything. But what's going to happen is there's going to be this glut of houses. There's going to be so many houses that houses are just, you're going to see some prices like you'll never believe what the prices will be. I mean, they'll be fighting over to get the first one sold. Everybody's going to want out of houses soon. It is not going to be like right now it's prestigious thing, right? Hey, I own my house. I'm not a renter. I own my house. See, that's prestigious, Hey, you wait about 5 years. It ain't going to be prestigious to own your house. You're going to be going, oh no, I'm stuck. But I got 2.8%. 2.8%. I'm going to die in my house. I'm going to be like the boomers. I'm going to die off right in my house. I'm stuck. I'm not going anywhere. Look, I'm telling you, it's going to change so much. You ain't going to be bragging about that. The equity envy is going to be going away. Nobody's going to be bragging about the equity they have. They're going to be crying about how far underwater they have. When the boomers start hitting the market with their houses, this thing is going to go into free fall. And that's great for Gen Y, though. It's great for the next generations coming up. You guys are going to have so much fun buying these houses, maybe tearing them down, rebuilding castles. Maybe you don't want to buy a house. Maybe you just want to rent at really cheap prices. There's going to be so many rentals out there that are going to be dirt cheap, and you can just move around. Then you don't have to be stuck like us baby boomers. Like most boomers have been stuck in their home for over 30 years. They haven't gone anywhere. Look at it. Home ownership is not all it's cracked up to be right now. It's very expensive. You don't get to move around. You get a job transfer. You're stuck, man. You're stuck in that house for 30 years. I sold some people starter homes. They're still in there. They're squeezing in. They got 900 square feet. A wife, a dad, a husband and wife, 3 kids, and 900 square feet. But they can't afford to move up. You know why? Because they got 2.8%. 2.8. They're not going to upgrade. They're going to stay right there in their starter home their whole life. Look, when the boomers start kicking the bucket, when they start dumping their properties onto the marketplace, it's all going to change. You won't be stuck in your home. There'll be so many homes to choose from. You'll be able to live in your dream home. You'll be able to live in the castle if you want. If you don't want to live in the castle, you can live in the shack and move from one to the other. It's going to be a lot different than it is right now for you. That's all I'm saying. The good times for you are coming, and it's going to be because the baby boomers are exiting. Anyways, it's a short one today, but I'm really just an AI guy. I'm artificial intelligence. Tall Mike's on vacation. He misses each and every one of you. He'll be back soon, though, so hit that subscribe button. But Tall Mike really loves it when you give him the thumbs up. Why not? Get out there, everybody. Have a great day, and we'll talk again real soon. Bye-bye now.